Hello, it's Anima Wisdoms. This is a compilation video with more than 1 hour of AITA stories from Skip Beat to listen to before you go to bed. Plus a bonus story from Lory Takarada himself about what you need to make it in the entertainment industry.
Am I the a-hole for wanting revenge on my childhood best friend for using me? Kyoko Mogami, 16 female, discovered not too long ago that my childhood friend, Fuwa, 16 male, has been using me as a maid, and now that he has made it as a singer, he doesn't need me anymore. So I was told to pack my things and go back to Kyoto. I swore to him that I would get revenge. He laughed in my face and told me the only way to do that is if I became more famous than him. Well, guess what, show? Challenge accepted. To understand why I'm here, you need to know how this all started. I was just an ordinary girl from Kyoto with no big ambitions or dreams. I didn't care about fame or fortune. If I'm being honest, all I wanted was to be loved and accepted by the people close to me. Meanwhile, Sho has always been different. Ever since he picked up his first guitar, he knew he wanted to be a star. I have known Sho Fuwa for most of my life. We literally grew up together. You see, my mother is an ambitious lawyer who has worked very hard to get where she is today. But that also meant that she had very little time for me growing up. She was always away on business trips, and when she was home, I could feel I was a burden on her. I tried everything just to please her and to make her feel proud of me. Like, for example, I always did my best to get perfect scores on my tests, but nothing worked. In the end, my mother decided that for her career, it was best if she moved to Tokyo and that I would stay behind with our neighbors, the Fuwas and their son, who was the same age as me. And that, you guys, is how I got close to Sho Fuwa, who is now literally a famous musician. Just thinking about how I used to be around him and how I thought about him gives me the biggest ick. The Fuwa family owns an old traditional Japanese inn chain, whose main branch is in Kyoto. That's where Sho and I lived since I was 6 years old. Sho's parents became my pseudo-parents. I wanted to show them that they didn't make a mistake in taking me in, so I did everything they asked me to do. That's how I learned everything there is to know about running a traditional Japanese inn: cooking, cleaning, hospitality, management, and even traditional tea ceremony etiquette. I mastered it all. So while I was busy learning the ropes and trying to please Sho's parents, at school things weren't going so great. Well, I'm not talking academically. My grades have always been good. I mean socially. Besides Sho, I never had any other friends. You see, Sho has always been popular. Whether it's now as an artist or when he was in school, people were always drawn to him. The boys admired him, and the girls practically worshipped him. So when they realized how close I was to him, they turned on me. I was the nobody girl that dared to hang around their idol. Well, you can imagine what jealous schoolgirls do to girls like me, but it didn't really bother me. All I cared about at that time was being seen as a dependable girl, someone that wouldn't cause the Fuwa family any trouble. So I ignored their hostility and just hoped that they would stop when they saw that it didn't affect me that much. Anyway, I secretly prided myself on being the one person in Sho's life that knew him the best. I now realize how silly those thoughts were that I had about Sho at that time. But what can I say? I was young and naive, and I would do anything for Sho. That's why when he asked me after we graduated from middle school if I wanted to go with him to Tokyo to pursue his dream of becoming a musician, I said yes. He told me his parents would never understand his dreams and ambition of becoming a famous musician, and that they were planning to make him marry a plain, boring local girl. I didn't even hesitate. I left everything behind and went with him to Tokyo. But life in Tokyo was anything but a fairy tale. I had to work at least 4 jobs just to provide for us, to pay the rent of the expensive apartment he picked out and also clean our new home, cook his favorite dishes, and praise him for his hard work as an up-and-coming singer. Also, every penny I could save went right back to supporting Sho, buying his merch, posters, CDs, you name it, I owned it. Looking back at it, I don't know how I was able to live like that and not collapse from exhaustion. I guess my obsession with him kept me going. You probably think I'm an absolute fool for doing so much and not realizing I was being used the whole time. And honestly, looking back at it, I agree. But you have to understand, I was just a 15-year-old girl with barely any education and nowhere else to go. Sho was everything to me. He was my home, my purpose, my reason to get up each day. His fans might not have known who I was, and he definitely didn't want anyone finding out, but I took pride in being the person closest to him. Other women would die just to see him, but I got to live with him, be near him, comfort him, talk to him whenever I wanted. Ironic looking back, because he rarely came home after his star was rising. He would ignore my calls and acted like I didn't exist in public. The last time I saw him privately was one night when he came home after what was honestly a really long day. For me, not him. He was cranky and unusually hostile. I tried to cheer him up and even ran to the convenience store to grab his favorite pudding. It worked for a little while. Only for a moment, it was just like those good old times when we had just moved to Tokyo, eating his favorite pudding while watching television. But then Ren Tsuruga, the most popular actor in the country, appeared on screen, and before I knew it, he had stormed off. I learned early on that the one person I should never praise around Sho is him. Whenever Ren Tsuruga is mentioned in his presence, he starts fuming. I always tried to tell Sho that he's much better than Ren Tsuruga, that he's just too young for women in their 20s to want him, that when he'll be 20, he too will be that popular. But he would just get mad at me and misunderstand what I was trying to say. Well, I was still madly in love with him even until that moment and was trying everything to appease him. Then came the day I realized just how twisted his intentions had been all along. I wanted to cheer him up after that horrible night, so I decided to surprise him at his gig with his favorite meal from a fast food company, disguised as a delivery. But when I arrived, there he was, sitting in the lobby with this beautiful woman. I was close enough to overhear them. And well, I heard everything, and I mean everything. They were talking about me, and none of it was flattering. Sho was telling her about how he couldn't care less about me, about how he'd just been using me as a maid because in his words, you can't expect the great prince of a traditional Japanese to have to clean his house or even cook, do you? And he was too good looking. So of course he never was going to work a minimum wage job to cover his living expenses. The woman, which turned out to be his manager, asked him if he dragged me to the city just to be his maid. What he said next shattered everything. He said, and I quote, "Since childhood, that girl has never became upset about anything I used to say to her. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have chosen her to come with me to Tokyo." He continued to spew the most hateful words ever and told the woman that since he had given me a choice, it was not like I was forced to come. She came here on her own accord, of course. She has to work hard to support me. I also found out that the reason Sho wasn't coming home was because he was staying at this woman's, Shuko's, place. And while I was working myself to the bone, he's been able to attend high school while studying and practicing guitar and singing, all generously funded by his agency, of course. The worst part, the plain, boring local girl his parents wanted him to marry someday was me. Apparently they had been training me all along to one day take over the responsibility of running their traditional Japanese inn. They told him that I was a girl with a lot of sense. Well, I can only disagree with this last part because how silly was I to run away from home and believe everything Sho ever told me. Everything crumbled before me at that moment. But something shifted inside of me. It was like I unlocked a completely new person inside of me. Someone that wasn't going to turn the other cheek and do as he said. So I confronted Sho on the spot. I threw his meal straight at him. And after that, I told him I would get my revenge on him. He laughed in my face, telling me that if I wanted to get revenge on him, I would have to break into the entertainment world, and that for a worthless, ordinary girl like me, that would be impossible. But nothing's going to stop me from getting this revenge. I will show him, and I mean it, I'm ready to give him a taste of his own medicine. So, tell me, am I the a-hole for wanting to exact revenge on the one person who used me and then thought he could just get rid of me when he didn't need me anymore? Well, to be honest, I'm not actually asking for advice here. This post is more to vent than it is to ask for advice. I don't care about the consequences. I'm getting back at him even if it's the last thing I do. Edit. I see that a lot of you guys are calling me a doormat. And even though it hurts to get called out like this, I now get it. And yeah, you guys are right. I'm not afraid to own up to this. Ibas a doormat. Some of you have also pointed out that the red flags were clearly visible in middle school, that a true friend would never let others have harassed me. Well, first off, I want to make clear that those girls never did this in front of him. They wanted him to only see them in a positive light, so they made sure that he never witnessed their ugly side. Secondly, as I said before, I didn't want to cause any trouble for the Fuwa family, so I never spoke up about this. I was afraid that if I did speak up, they would throw me out. Also, I learned early on not to cry in front of Sho, that it made him very uncomfortable. He never knew how to handle those kind of emotions. I'm not making any excuses for him. That's just the way he's always been. Also, some of you have been asking about my dad. Well, I can't say that much about him, because I don't know anything. The only parent I ever known was my mom, and whenever I asked about him in the past, she would just get very upset. So I have no idea who he is, or where he is for that matter. First update. Alright everyone. I know it was impulsive of me to say that I would get back at him by breaking into showbiz, but I'm not one to back down from my word. So of course the first thing I needed to do was to give myself a full-blown makeover. To start this new chapter in my life, I said goodbye to the old plain me and welcomed in the new me with a bold look. I think it's a big improvement. After that, I quickly moved out of the luxurious apartment or should I say, I was renting. I was lucky enough to be able to find a place to stay with one of my employers from my part-time jobs. After settling in with them, I decided to start my journey by going to LME. They are the largest talent agency of this country. If I want to beat Shotaro, I can't go to an agency that's smaller than his. So I kind of pestered their head of the talent division every day to let me join. His name is Takenori Sawara. And let's just say my persistent attitude worked, because unlike a certain famous actor, he was kind enough to give me a chance to join. He told me about the aptitude test that LME holds every year to find new talents that are worth looking after. It's in 5 days. Although it's a long shot, still to get this opportunity is amazing in and of itself. So wish me luck. Edit. So some of you are a little confused and wondering about who Shotaro is. Well, Sho's full name is actually Shotaro, but he hates it. So my petty revenge is that from now on I'll mostly refer to him as Shotaro. Edit number 2. Okay, I see you guys speculating about this certain famous actor. I am not going to reveal who he is just yet. But anyway, this guy is so rude to me. I thought he was polite and kind to everyone, but I guess I'm the exception. You know what he did after meeting me for the first time? He kicked me out of the LME agency building, just as I was thinking to myself that now I had no reason to dislike him anymore. He gave me a big reason to dislike him. Also, he thinks that just because I'm determined, it won't be enough. Who is he to say that? Sure, I don't know how to sing or act, and I have no particular talent for anything that I can think of, but that's not going to stop me from achieving my goal. Second update. Well, sorry for not updating you guys for almost 2 weeks, but a lot has happened, and I needed time to process everything. Anyway, some of you might have guessed it, but I didn't get selected by LME. Takanori was kind enough to explain to me afterwards that although my act, which was carving out a beautiful flower out of a carrot, stood out from the other talented people that were there, the second part of the audition was actually the most important part. The director of LME, Lory Takarada, designed a psychological test to see if the talents that want to be represented by LME agency are able to love their audience. And it's this test that I failed miserably. It made me realize that somewhere along the way, I have lost this very important emotion, and I have no idea how to get it back. So I cried myself to sleep that night, and for a couple of days, I completely gave up on the idea of becoming famous. But then a few things happened. First, I actually met Shotaro while I was working at one of my part-time jobs, and that despicable human being didn't recognize me at all. How could he not recognize me? His closest friend for almost 10 years. He just pisses me off so much. Anyway, although this frustrated me, what made me go and try again was actually my boss and landlord, Teisho. He isn't a man of many words, so he gave me a Daruma doll and told me to be like this doll. This made me realize that I couldn't just give up after failing once. I had to try again. Anyway, it turns out Lory Takarada actually made a whole new section within LME called the Love Me section, and I'm its first member. They were waiting for me to return, and now I'm just over the moon for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Edit. Okay, I see that you guys still have some questions, so I try to answer them as best as possible. First of all, I see that many of you are wondering about the Daruma doll. Well, the restaurant of my landlord, Teisho, is actually called after this doll. It's a doll that no matter how hard you try to knock it down, it always bounced back up. He also has the slogan, "No pain, no gain" on the wall. So yeah, this has always been his life motto, and he has now passed this on to me. Secondly, I see that many of you are wondering what the Love Me section is all about. Well, Lory Takarada, the director of LME agency, himself explained that over the next year, I will have to perform many different tasks and show people that I'm able to earn their love and trust. After a year, if I have earned enough points, LME will launch me as one of their talents. I will actually have a real debut. Can you believe it? Third, and for now final update. Hello guys, sorry for not updating for a week. Things have gotten really hectic for me the last few weeks, with juggling my part-time jobs and also working for LME. So I started working in the Love Me section, and let me tell you, I have met so many new people. Some really nice, some not so much, and then there's a certain famous actor that seems to have it out for me. I feel that I'm seeing a side of him that not many people get to see. Anyway, after a couple of small requests like scraping the gum of the floor, which I ended up cleaning, so well that a lot of people got hurt because they slipped. Well, back to what I was saying, recently I was able to accompany an actress to a film set. Her name is Ruriko Matsunai. Well, I have never met a more arrogant person than her. She made me believe that she was allergic to the sun and that I needed to protect her from it by carrying her on my back with a huge parasol, which led to me falling and twisting my ankle, and that led to a certain famous actor, of all people, finding me and carrying me in his arms to set. It was so embarrassing, but after he sat me down, his very friendly manager helped me bandage my ankle. I soon realized that Ruriko was a nightmare to work with on set. This led to many small disputes on set. So at one point, the director had enough, and that's when he decided to have a competition between both of us. We had to do 2 scenes, and the one that did the best job would actually get the role. So even though I never thought of becoming an actress, I took this opportunity and said yes to this challenge. Nothing was going to stop me. And even I was surprised at how fascinating it was to act. A certain famous actor showed me what it was like when one takes this job seriously, and I'm secretly very impressed. I vowed to myself to be like him. I was able to impress everyone with my acting in these 2 scenes, even though this role isn't something new to me. In the end, the director still went with Ruriko. After she saw how demure and sophisticated I was and how serious I took it, she stopped being a brat and she took a page out of my book and started being more demure, more professional. The director explained to me afterwards that he was always going to go with Ruriko, but that he needed her to start taking this role seriously. I didn't mind not getting the role. This challenge made me realize that for the first time in my life, I was doing something because I wanted to do it, not because someone told me to do it. Plus, they also did my makeup. I have never looked so beautiful as when I looked in the mirror after the makeup artists were done. I truly felt like a princess. The sad part is that they had to take it off at the end. I pleaded with them, but they were firm and told me that leaving makeup on would be bad for my skin. So I reluctantly let them take it off. Edit. Okay, I see that everyone really wants to know who this certain famous actor is. I wasn't going to say anything at first, but some of you have been guessing it correctly. Yes, it's Ren Tsuruga. Some of you have also been outraged that the director came up with this challenge, even though he was never going to let me win, and that he wasn't being considered when he made me act while I was injured. Well, first of all, I'm the one that had accepted the challenge. I could have said no and just rested my foot. But that's just not who I am. When an opportunity presents itself, I will grasp it and hold on to it with both hands. And I may not have won this challenge, but I'm glad that Ruriko learned something from seeing me act. While the director did apologize for this, he never thought that I would take this challenge so seriously that I literally fainted from the pain after it was over. Apparently, I had impressed everyone on set that day because not once did I show any pain or discomfort while I was acting. I was able to be a serene lady from high society. But as I said before, this role isn't something new to me. Shotaro's mother taught me how to walk with the correct posture, and that no matter what, if I was feeling some discomfort or even pain, the customer should never be made aware of this. The customer is there to have an amazing time and not there to worry about their hostess. So as a hostess, you need to strive for perfection. Until a year ago, this was a role I constantly had to perform while I was helping the Fuwas in their inn. It did frustrate me a little that I was praised for something that I learned while living with the Fuwas. Lastly, some of you are wondering why I'm so happy with getting my makeup done. Well, before this, I had actually never worn makeup before. I didn't have the money to buy makeup products, and even if I had these products, I wouldn't know how to use them correctly. Edit number 2. By the way, the director felt so guilty that he arranged a photo shoot for me in the costume I was wearing on set as a way to make it up to me. Now I have pictures of myself looking like a princess. Anyway, I hope this clears things up for you all. If I have any more updates, I'll be sure to share them with you.
Am I the a-hole for using my childhood friend to kickstart my career? Hey, everyone, Fuwa here. Yeah, the one and only. You've probably heard my latest hit single. It's only topping every chart right now. Anyway, I'm not usually the kind of guy to would air my dirty laundry, but lately, there's been some drama in my life, and now even my manager is telling me I could have managed it better. So, I need an unbiased opinion. Am I the a-hole for using my childhood friend to kickstart my career? Well, before you immediately write YTA, just hear me out, okay? You see, Kyoko and I go way back. We practically grew up together. My mom and dad took her in, gave her a roof over her head and a place to call home, when her mom ditched her to live in Tokyo. And although as an only child it was weird to suddenly have to share all the attention, I never complained or became upset because of this situation. For me it wasn't a big deal. I mean, by then she already was spending most of her time at our home. Plus, it became pretty chill for me, after she moved in. She was always, well, let's just say intense. She has this habit of throwing herself into everything, you know? So, in no time, she was doing all the chores that my parents gave us around the ryokan. So that meant that I could spend more time doing the things I wanted to do, like honing my guitar skills. When I decided to leave our boring hometown to pursue my dream of becoming Japan's top idol, Kyoko begged to come with me. She said she'd do anything to help me succeed. And, yeah, I agreed because why not? Now, before you judge me, let's get one thing straight. I never asked her to give up her life for me. She just did. I'm not the type to say no when someone offers to handle everything, from cooking and cleaning to, like, making sure I didn't starve while chasing my dream. Who would turn that down? But here's the thing about Kyoko, she's always been, well, too much. She had this weird way of putting me on a pedestal, like I was some kind of god. At first I was fine with her behavior. I mean, of course it's flattering if someone thinks so well of you. But as I became more famous, the things she would do or say just became a little meaningless for me. I mean, how can I take her word seriously, if she doesn't even listen to any other artist? Anyway, her behavior. It was suffocating. She never understood that I needed space to focus on my career, and to not have some clingy shadow following me around. So, fast forward to when my career is finally taking off and I started spending more and more time at my manager's, Shoko's, place. She has a big luxurious penthouse, with great facilities in the building like a pool and a gym. Plus there is way better security there than at the apartment that Kyoko and I were renting. Anyway, one night I went to the old apartment, just to grab some clothes that I still had there. I really didn't want to stay more than 10 minutes. I'm a busy man, you know. I've got things to do, places to be. Kyoko started begging me to stay, and before I knew it, I was eating some pudding and chatting with her. But at some point the TV showed an interview with Ren Tsuruga. And you know what, I just can't stand him. Everyone is always praising him and saying how amazing he is. But to me he just comes across as fake. He just pisses me off, and seeing him on TV just put me in a foul mood. So, I decided to go back and chill in Shoko's jacuzzi. The next day, I was talking to my manager, Shoko, about Kyoko. She's been hinting at me that I should talk to Kyoko and send her back to our hometown, Kyoto. I think she really pities her. So, after Kyoko left another voicemail message, Shoko asked me about her again. And well, I was just honest, you know. I told her that I never forced Kyoko to come with me to Tokyo, that she made that choice on her own. I joked that you can't expect that I, the prince of the ryokan, cooks, cleans or do any household chores myself. Anyway, we were just talking, backstage after one of my gigs, and it was just the two of us there. So, imagine my surprise when suddenly, some crazy person throws food at my head, nearly missing me by an inch. Well, Kyoko Mogami herself was that crazy person. She was standing there. At first, I thought she was crying, but then she just became unhinged. I was a little shocked. I've never seen her act like this before. Luckily, security had noticed the commotion and escorted her out. But before that she was yelling at me, telling me how she would get revenge on me. Is she Delulu? The only way for her to get revenge is if she herself became more famous than me. And that is literally impossible. You have to understand, she is just a plain, ordinary girl. A middle school dropout whose only talent is being someone's maid. I can admit that I said somewhat hurtful words to her at that moment, but you know, sometimes the truth is ugly and it just needs to be said. So she could finally understand and pack her bags and go home to Kyoto. But now my manager is telling me I was kind of a jerk for taking advantage of her goodwill towards me and that I should have handled the situation better. Of course I disagreed with her, so she told me to ask Reddit. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole for kind of using my childhood friend as a maid and letting her support me by renting out a nice apartment even though the rent wasn't really in our budget, so she had to work 4 jobs, just to pay for the rent? I would like to emphasize again, that I never made her do all of this. I just asked her and she said yes. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this to blow up like it did. I see a lot of you are calling me YTA and saying I've been selfish, but I think a lot of people are missing some key context. Kyoko has always been the kind of person who needed someone to devote herself to. It's not like I ever forced her to come with me or to work so hard. That's just who she is. I mean, I asked her to come along, but it was her choice to say yes. She could have said no, right? And for everyone saying I'm ungrateful, come on. I've thanked Kyoko plenty of times over the years. Just because I didn't fall at her feet and worship her doesn't mean I wasn't appreciative. It's not like I didn't notice her efforts. I just didn't need her to smother me with them. Also, I think people are blowing the whole revenge thing out of proportion. Kyoko? Famous? Let's be real here. She's not the type to survive in this industry. She's too soft, too naive. If she couldn't handle me being honest with her, how's she going to handle the cutthroat entertainment world? Relevant comments. Comment from Keepitrial_4U, highly upvoted. YTA. You didn't just ask Kyoko to come along, you manipulated her into believing her only purpose was to serve you. Then you took advantage of her loyalty and discarded her when she became inconvenient. You didn't just use her. You crushed her sense of self-worth. Response from OP. Wow, dramatic much? I didn't manipulate her into anything. Kyoko's always been dramatic and over the top. I figured she liked helping me. I mean, she literally begged to come along. Comment from TruthTeller99. You keep saying you didn't force her to come to Tokyo, but the way you talk about her shows zero respect for her sacrifices. It's like you think you're entitled to her devotion because you're the prince of the ryokan. Do you even hear yourself? Response from OP. Okay, first of all, that prince thing was a joke. Second, respect? I do respect her, at least I did. But let's not pretend she didn't get something out of this too. She got to be close to me, and back then, that's all she wanted. Comment from Knowledge Seeker 3. You're mad that Kyoko put you on a pedestal, but you've been doing the same thing to yourself this entire post. She probably realized you're not the idol she thought you were, and that's why she snapped. Honestly, good for her. Response from OP. LOL, okay, you don't know Kyoko. She's not the type to suddenly realize anything. She's impulsive and emotional. The whole food throwing thing was insane and just proved my point. Comment from Superfan Show 95. OMG, Show, you're totally not the a-hole here. Kyoko obviously chose to follow you and do all that stuff for you. She knew what she was signing up for. Don't let the haters get to you. You're amazing, and they're just jealous of your success. Keep shining, Prince. Comment from Die Hard Show Fuwa. People don't understand how hard it is to make it in the entertainment industry. Sho had to focus on his career, and Kyoko offered to help. End of story. She clearly couldn't handle the pressure and lashed out at you because of her own insecurities. That's not your fault. Stay strong, Sho. Comment from Blinded Fuwa Heart You too. Honestly, I can't believe Kyoko would throw food at you like that. So disrespectful. You've done nothing but work hard to become the star you are today. Some people just can't handle seeing others succeed. You're better off without her dragging you down. Love you, Sho. And comment from Ren Fangirl 99. Wow, typical Sho behavior, taking advantage of someone's kindness and then acting like you're the victim. Ren would never treat anyone this way. That's why he's the true star of the industry. Keep crying, Sho. Ren's already leagues ahead of you. Comment from Ren is the best 3. This is exactly why Ren Tsuruga is the real idol people look up to. He's not just talented, he's actually a decent human being. Sho, maybe take notes on how to treat the people who support you. Or don't, Ren's already outshining you in every way. Comment from Drama Watcher 19. Ren Tsuruga doesn't need to drag his childhood friends into his career just to make it big. He's talented, hardworking, and classy. Meanwhile, Sho's out here acting like a spoiled brat who thinks the world revolves around him. Yikes. Comment from Yita Ren for the win. Ren would probably forgive Sho for all his immature comments and move on because he's a class act like that. Meanwhile, Sho's here ranting on Reddit instead of taking accountability. Keep talking, Sho. Ren's busy being the best actor in Japan. Update. Alright, so it looks like Reddit has spoken, and most of you think I'm the a-hole. Whatever. I guess it's easy to judge from the outside. Anyway, as I have been living my life, working hard to produce hit song after hit song and recording an amazing album. I actually never in a million's years thought that I would have an update for you guys. But something happened recently, and now I'm not so sure what to think of it. Not too long ago I was invited to this talk show, to talk about my latest album and answer some of my fans' questions etc. When there was this chicken mascot that was just super intense and also the questions got really personal, like asking about some things that only someone that has known me all my life would know the answer to. I thought for a second it was Kyoko in that chicken suit. But that can't be, right? Anyway, I'm glad that whoever was in that suit was only a stand-in. The director probably fired them. Second update. Well, you guys, do I have an update for you? I still can't wrap my head around this. You won't believe who the director that was shooting my latest music video hired? It was none other than Kyoko Mogami, and she has changed so much over the last couple months that at first I didn't even recognize her. Anyway, all shocks aside, we still had to shoot this music video that was about a demon, played by me, falling in love with an angel, played by Mimori Nanokura, a girl that I've known for a while now, because we are represented by the same agency. But because she fell in love with me, the demon, her life was in danger, so her best friend, a fellow angel, played by Kyoko, decided to take matters into her own hands and kill me. The first part of the video we shot, with Kyoko and Mimori acting together as if they were the best of friends. I was actually surprised to see Kyoko being able to act so well. I thought I knew everything about her, but this really surprised me. But then Kyoko had to act with me, and well. At one point I actually feared for my life. There was this intense hatred directed towards me, that really made shooting those scenes impossible. I was starting to think that she should really give up, trying to make it in this industry, when she regrouped herself after a short break and blew my socks off with her acting. Anyway, the shoot ended on a successful note and we then parted ways. Now my manager is saying I should reach out and apologize to her before this blows up even more, especially before some gossip blogs or might pick up on our history. But I don't know if I can. I mean, what would I even say? Sorry for saying you'd never make it in this industry. Sorry for being a jerk. Part of me wants to ignore this whole thing and hope it blows over. I'm still the bigger star here, after all. But another part of me is starting to wonder if maybe I underestimated her all along. So, yeah. That's where I'm at now. Third update. Hey everyone, it's been a while. but I wanted to give you a final update because so much has happened over the past few weeks. I thought you'd be interested in hearing about it. Life's been a whirlwind lately. I've been pouring my heart into my music, but things weren't going as planned. Normally, when I release a song, it goes straight to #1. But recently, this new group, Via Ghoul, has been trending, taking the top spot with music that, quite frankly, feels like they've been copying me. It turns out someone from my team was leaking everything to them. Frustrating, right? I couldn't believe my fans were falling for their act, and for a while, it made me question everything. For the first time since moving to Tokyo, I wasn't enjoying making music anymore. But then Kyoko, of all people, gave me a wake-up call. She told me to stop feeling sorry for myself and not let those beagles, her nickname for them, haha, walk all over me. That's when I realized I needed to fight back and show them they'd messed with the wrong person. My revenge? Simple, but oh, so satisfying. I took some of their original music, the stuff they made before they started copying me, and made it better. Then, I leaked it back to them on purpose. And to ensure no more leaks from my team, I set strict new rules. Everyone recording with me had to hand in their phones to my manager, and we ditched music sheets entirely. Instead, we relied on my lead, during sessions. This way, there was no chance of my new music being stolen. The result? My best single yet. I can't wait to share it with you all next week. As for V Ghoul, I can only imagine their reaction when they realized I'd used their own work against them. Sweet justice. That said, I do need to address something important. Their lead singer, Reno, is a total creep. If you're a fan, please be cautious around him. Edit. A lot of you have been asking how Kyoko managed to knock some sense into me. If you didn't already know, she's been making waves as an actress and is currently filming a TV series called Dark Moon. One of her shooting locations happened to be near the recording studio where I was working. That's how we crossed paths, and during a quick chat, she gave me the pep talk I didn't know I needed. Edit 2. I see some comments asking why I called Reno a creep and if I'm just jealous. Let me set the record straight. This isn't about jealousy. My warning comes from genuine concern for my fans. During one of my recording sessions, VA Ghoul deliberately booked the same location as me to steal my work. But what really crossed the line was Reno's behavior. He stalked a woman on site, ignoring her clear discomfort and repeated requests to stop. It was disturbing. Out of respect for her privacy, I won't reveal her identity. She's chosen not to press charges, fearing it could harm her career, and I stand by her decision. If you're truly a fan of mine, I ask you to respect it too. From what I heard, Reno left after a confrontation with a certain fake actor who put him in his place. I don't know the full details and, honestly, I don't care. I'm just relieved they've stopped trying to copy me, and I can focus on my music without the drama. To my fans, you've been my rock through all the ups and downs, and I'm endlessly grateful for your love and support. You inspire me to keep pushing forward, even when things get tough. This journey wouldn't be the same without you, and I can't wait for you to hear my new single. I poured my heart into it, and I hope it resonates with you as much as it does with me. As for my haters, I hope you step on a piece of Lego. My new single drops next week, and I can't wait for you to hear it. I hope you'll love it as much as I do. This is my final update for now, but don't worry, you haven't seen the last of me. Until then, take care, stay kind, and keep being the amazing people you are. I love you all. Let's show the world what we're made of. New music coming soon. Catch you later, show Fuwa.
Am I the a-hole for abandoning my daughter when she was still a child? Hi Reddit. I'm here to ask for your judgment on a deeply personal matter that I've kept buried for little more than a decade. Some context is needed, so this might be a long one. Please bear with me. I, 45F, am a lawyer working for one of the most prestigious firms in Tokyo. I've built my career from the ground up, relying on my intelligence, discipline, and drive for perfection. My colleagues know me as someone who never lets emotions get in the way of logic and professionalism. They respect my work ethic, but most of them would describe me as cold. That's fine with me. I've never been one to prioritize warmth or emotional connections. But there's one thing I've hidden from almost everyone in my life. I have a daughter, named Kyoko, now 17 years old. I was born into a respectable, upper-middle-class family. My parents were both professors and highly respected in their fields. My existence was not planned. My mother had me at 41 after a mishap with early contraceptives. I was not unwanted, but I was an inconvenience, a complication they did not foresee. Growing up, my parents were very strict with me. My life consisted of studying and prepping for exams. For them, it was important that I made great academic achievements. I was fine with this. Ever since I was a little girl, I always preferred to read non-fiction books instead of playing outside. Because of my inability to understand or even relate to my peers, I always had a hard time making friends. In high school, they always asked me why I was mad at them, because of my frown. But really, I was just deep in thought. I wasn't angry at them. My aloofness and cold personality made it hard for me to connect with them. So, they stayed clear of me. I was never bullied, but also nobody ever made the effort to get to know me. Then something unexpected happened. In high school, my mother fell seriously ill and passed away. Not long after, my father died of a heart attack. This made me an orphan by the time I graduated. Their sudden deaths were very sad for me, but I also knew that if I wanted to honor them, I had to excel in my studies. And so, I went on and studied at one of the most elite universities and graduated with honor. After that, I've dedicated myself to practicing and studying the law. At 28, I was working my way up at one of the most prestigious law firms in Kyoto, and everything was going great. I was assigned to a high-profile case that would define my reputation. It was a culmination of years of effort, and I was ready. Around the same time, I also met Kazuchi Misonoi. He was unlike anyone I'd ever known. He was carefree, and he had a very likable personality. At first, I was suspicious. Why he would want to date me, someone that's the complete opposite of him. But he had a gift for disarming me. He was kind, attentive, and very perceptive in ways no one had been before. He always made me feel seen and heard. For the first time in my life, I had someone that wanted to know how my day was and that reassured me whenever I was feeling insecure. It's embarrassing to admit, but I fell hard, and I gave myself completely to him. And even after everything that went down, I still believe in my heart of hearts that the feelings were mutual, that he had loved me too. But the betrayal was truly devastating. He had been a corporate spy, hired by the opposing party, so they could get their hands on the crucial evidence we had on a hard drive. He had approached me solely with the purpose of getting information out of me, and at the end, stealing the hard drive on which our whole case was based on. I don't believe it was his intent to fall in love with me or to make me fall for him. I think we were both caught off guard by these intense but real emotions. But in the end, these feelings didn't stop him from completing his mission or from disappearing from my life. It left me completely devastated. I don't even know if Kazuchi Misonoi is his real name or an alias he used. It shook me to my core that I had trusted someone so easily, in such a short time, just because it seemed that he was able to understand me and see me for who really I was. How could I have been such a naive fool, blindly trusting a stranger? To make matters worse, after months of neglecting my physical health, I finally went to the doctor, only to find out I was pregnant. But by then it was already too late to terminate the pregnancy, so I had no choice but to keep the baby and do my best in raising it. But my whole life has always been about my academic pursuits and my career. My life has always been structured around these goals. They made my day-to-day very predictable, which I now realize that I find comfort in knowing what to expect. But suddenly I was going to be a mother, something that I never gave thought to. I was never one of those little girls that dreamed of creating a family of my own. As I said before, my focus was always on my academics and later on my career. But now I had this little human, this baby that I was responsible of. I was all on my own, and I had no one to show me how it was done. I read every book on caring for babies I could find, but none of them were able to truly prepare me for becoming a mother. So I signed myself up for mommy classes, and during one of these classes I met Yayoi Fuwa, who turned out to be the sister of my boss. She and her husband owned a chain of ryokans. These are traditional Japanese inns. Yayoi told me that, not more. Then a week after giving birth, she had to start working in the ryokan again. She didn't have the luxury of having months of maternity leave, nor did she want to take that time off. Her pride and joy were in being the boss lady of the ryokun. So she already hired a nanny that was going to take care of her son. She told me that she saw a kindred spirit in me and that I needed to go back to work as soon as possible. So she offered that my daughter could stay with their nanny and her son while I was working. I gladly took her up on this offer, and 3 weeks after I gave birth, I was back working full-time. This whole scandal and the pregnancy set me back, and I had to work very hard so that my boss could trust me with cases again. There was no room for error anymore. It wasn't easy balancing my work life with raising my daughter, Kyoko. Even with the help of Yayoi Fuwa, I still had a very hard time. From sleepless nights when she was a baby because she kept on crying, to getting the flu every couple of months because some kid at her school infected her. I realized very early on that I don't have a nurturing bone in my body. I do love her, but I just don't know how to show it. I was always impatient and stressed with her. The older she got, the more she resembled Kazuchi. She too has this friendly and expressive way about her. She was always talking about fairies and princes, and I just couldn't relate to her. When Kyoko was 6, I was offered a position at a prestigious law firm in Tokyo. It was the opportunity of a lifetime, but it required me to relocate to Tokyo permanently. I truly felt that I was being rewarded after all my hard work. The only dilemma was whether I should take Kyoko with me or not. In the end, I decided to leave Kyoko in the care of the Fuwas. I thought that leaving Kyoko in the care of the Fuwas was truly the best thing for her. Her school, her friends, her life. It was all in Kyoto, and uprooting her from all of this wouldn't be good for her. Yayoi Fuwa could give the care and nurturing that I couldn't give to her. So I decided to move to Tokyo by myself and leave Kyoko behind. Fast forward to today. Kyoko is now 16, and I've recently discovered that she has been living in Tokyo on her own for over a year now. The agency that is representing her contacted me to get my permission for her to be working in the entertainment industry. Of course I gave them my permission. If this is what she wants to do, I'm not going to stand in her way. I also feel that I don't have a right to judge whether it is wrong or right for her. Afterwards, I called Yayoi Fuwa for an explanation, and she apologized immediately for not informing me about this and told me she was too embarrassed to say anything. Because her son, Sho, had eloped together with Kyoko to Tokyo. She hadn't told the police because she was afraid that it would negatively impact the ryokan. She told me that she recently been in contact with her son and that he told her that he and Kyoko were no longer in contact with each other. I am utterly shocked by all of this. I thought that the Fuwas would be a safe haven for her, but instead their son influenced her to up and leave her whole life. What if she's somewhere here in Tokyo being a single mom with no education, now trying to make it in the entertainment industry? This whole ordeal has made me question if leaving her with the Fuwas was the right move. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for abandoning my daughter when she was still a child? Edit 1. I see a lot of people asking about why the Fuwas would take care of a child that was not theirs. Well, first of all, Yayoi Fuwa had hinted to me that it was her wish for Kyoko to learn from her so that she could one day run the ryokun. Secondly, I did send money to the Fuwas to provide for her care and education. I might not have been able to give her the emotional support she needed, but I would never shrink from my duties as her guardian. Yayoi had told me that she saw Kyoko like her own daughter. I had prepared myself for one day getting the inevitable question if they could officially adopt her. But I never received that request. Yayoi did tell me in our last telephone conversation that she and her husband had hoped that her son would marry Kyoko and run the Ryokun together. Well, that will now never happen. Edit 2. Some of you have pointed out that my decision might have been influenced by my own upbringing. That is a fair point. As I said in the post, I was a surprise for my parents. They were already in their 40s and had chosen to be child-free. My mother told me that after months of feeling unwell, she finally went to the doctor because she thought she was going through menopause, only to find out she was pregnant. After this discovery, they decided that they were going to raise me to become an intellectual like them. But I guess somewhere along the way they never showed me how to be nurturing, how to care for someone other than myself. Relevant comments. Comment from Ambitious Woman 62. You did what you thought was best for Kyoko given your circumstances. Being a single parent is incredibly hard, especially without support. You weren't perfect, but you made sure she was cared for. That doesn't make you an a-hole. Comment from Best Mom for Life. You abandoned your daughter because it was inconvenient for your career. You didn't even try to maintain a relationship with her. Sending money doesn't make up for that. Comment from Need to Say. Sorrow X2. Have you ever thought about reaching out to your daughter? I feel that you both have been wounded by not only the trauma and heartbreak you had to go through with your ex, but also by something called generational trauma. I believe that therapy will help both of you deal with all of this in a much healthier way. Update. Hello Reddit. It's been a while since I posted this, and truth be told, I've been very busy at work, so I didn't have time to respond or keep you Redditors updated. Not that there was anything to update you people with. Until very recently. Before I'll explain what happened, I just want to let everyone know that this will be my final update. I'm truly too busy with work, and I don't have a lot of time. Well, on to the update. I actually met Kyoko not too long ago. My friend and colleague Susumu Todo sort of sprung her on me. He's one of the very few people in my life that knows what happened back then and have met Kyoko when she was little. I had asked him to deliver some documents to her that she needed, and he impulsively decided to bring her back to the office. I happened to walk past his car when I saw her sitting in the passenger seat. She asked if we could talk somewhere private, and so we went to a nearby cafe. It was very awkward at first. What do you say to your own daughter that you haven't spoken to for a couple of years? I asked her a little bit about the situation with Sho, and she explained that they were never in that kind of relationship. That apparently, he brought her to Tokyo to be his maid. Although I was glad to hear that she didn't make the same mistake that I once made. I have vowed to myself that if he ever does something that will lead to him needing to be sued, I will oversee this case personally, and I will crucify him on the stand. Although I don't feel that I have any right on commenting on Kyoko's life. It does anger me that he convinced her to drop out of high school and used her as his maid. Men truly are trash. Anyway, it was a very candid, but very needed talk. We talked about her father and what had happened to me. Why I couldn't be the mother that she needed growing up, and that I placed her with the Fuwas for her own safety. Afterwards, she told me she was glad to know more about her father and why he wasn't in her life. She had always wondered why, and this conversation made a lot of things clear to her. After that, we parted ways. I will say, for those hoping that we might one day get a close mother-daughter relationship, that will never happen. I truly don't feel that I have the right to call myself her mother, but if she ever needs anything, I will be trying my best to help her. I will be following her career very closely and support her decision of becoming a famous actress. I believe in her and her gift. Edit. I saw a lot of people suggesting that I should go to therapy, and after a lot of reflecting, I think I will be doing that. I don't know if it will help. But I guess it's not a bad idea to talk to a professional about what happened in the past and how it shaped me to who I am today. So I will leave you all on this note. Thank you for your opinions, even the people that called me an a-hole. It has helped me be able to better reflect on my actions from 11 years ago.
Am I
Thank you
the
for
a-hole for hiding my real identity? Hello Reddit, I've been struggling with this situation for a while now and someone advised me that I should ask on Reddit. For anonymity purposes only, I will be using fake names in this post. I, 20 mate, have been working hard on my career as an actor for a couple of years now, and with success. I am currently one of the most famous actors in Japan. But there is something the public, or even the people closest to me, don't know. I've been lying about my identity. To have a fair chance at making a name for myself, I created a fake persona. The public will never know about this. But should I one day tell Kylie Moore who I really am? To understand my dilemma, let me first tell you a little about me. I'm the son of two extremely famous Hollywood actors, Clark and Jennifer Harrison. To the rest of the world, they are legends, Hollywood royalty whose names are synonymous with excellence and glamour. To me, they're just my parents. And growing up, I never doubted their love for me. I had a happy childhood filled with warmth and support. My parents made time for me despite their demanding careers. Whenever they weren't busy with filming or promotions, they took me on family vacations. One of my fondest memories is spending summers in Kyoto, Japan, surrounded by nature, far from the chaos of Hollywood. But as I grew older, things changed. I wanted to follow in my parents' footsteps and become an actor. I admired their work and thought I could find my own place in the industry. That's when I realized the world wasn't as kind as my childhood had led me to believe. Hollywood didn't see me as Ken Harrison, an aspiring actor with passion and dreams. To them, I was just the son of Clark and Jennifer Harrison. A nepo baby. Directors doubted my abilities, assuming any opportunity I got was handed to me because of my last name. Even when I secured roles, I faced relentless scrutiny. Some directors were outright hostile, pushing me harder than my co-stars and belittling my efforts. I wanted to prove myself, but no matter how hard I worked, it was never enough. They only saw the shadow of my parents. This made me angry and I started acting out. I started hanging with the wrong crowd in Hollywood and would stay out late and go to parties where a 14-year-old had no place at being. My life went completely off the rails and neither my parents nor my best friend were able to reach me anymore. Then, when I was 15, tragedy struck. My best friend died in an accident. He was the only person outside my family who truly understood me, who saw me for who really I was. Losing him shattered me. I started blaming myself for his death and fell into a deep depression. For an entire year, I barely left my room. I stopped caring about my career, my dreams, everything. My parents tried everything they could to help, but nothing worked. I was lost. That's when Lory Top stepped in. Larry is an eccentric man and a family friend, known for his success in managing talents in Japan. One day, he showed up at my house, dressed in one of his flamboyant suits, and sat down with me. He told me he'd seen my potential, even if Hollywood refused to. He offered me a way out, move to Japan, start fresh under a new identity, and rebuild my career from scratch. At first, I was hesitant. Could I really leave everything behind? But the more I thought about it, the more I realized I didn't have much to lose. Hollywood had rejected me, and I couldn't stay stuck in the past forever. So, with my parents' reluctant blessing, I took Larry's offer. I dyed my hair black, chose the stage name Robert Tenz, and left Ken Harrison behind. Starting over in Japan wasn't easy. At first, I struggled with the language and the cultural differences. But I threw myself into my work, determined to succeed on my own terms. I trained relentlessly, honing my skills and learning everything I could about the Japanese entertainment industry. Slowly but surely, I started to gain recognition. My hard work paid off, and the roles I landed began to showcase my talent rather than my family name. Before leaving for Japan, I sat my parents down and told them that I didn't want to rely on their influence anymore. I told them I'd only contact them once I had made a name for myself. They respected my decision, though it hurt them. Cutting ties with my parents, even temporarily, was one of the hardest things I've ever done. But I needed to prove to myself that I could stand on my own 2 feet. Robert Tenz quickly became one of the most sought-after actors in Japan. The public admired my professionalism and calm demeanor. To them, Robert Tenz was a perfect man. Kind, composed, and humble. But it was all an act. Beneath the facade, I was still Ken Harrison, the boy who'd once been broken and lost. It has been years since I started my debut in Japan, and all this time I have not been Ken Harrison at all. But recently I've been having some trouble keeping this part of me hidden. Then there's Kylie Moore. She's one of the most unique people I've ever met. When we first crossed paths, she was brash, overly earnest, and completely clueless about the entertainment industry. I didn't think much of her at first. Her reasoning for entering showbiz did irritate me. But I really didn't think she would get far. She just seemed like a girl with more enthusiasm than talent. But over time, she proved me wrong. Kylie Moore has an unshakable determination that's impossible to ignore. She's one of the hardest working people I've ever met, constantly striving to improve herself. Watching her grow as an actress has been inspiring. It wasn't long before I realized there was something oddly familiar about her. Then one day, I caught a stone that looked eerily similar to the one I once gave a little girl. When Kylie Moore desperately asked for the stone back, I realized that she was that girl I met years ago. It was during one of my family's vacations to Kyoto. I'd been going through a rough time, struggling with my identity and my parents' fame. While wandering alone, I came across a little girl who was crying. She thought she'd lost something precious. To cheer her up, I gave her a small stone and told her it was magical. She misheard my name and started calling me Cake. She believed I was a fairy prince. She was just a little girl and I probably was never going to see her again. So, I went along with it. Kylie, to this day, still believes in fairies and believes that the stone I once gave her protects her from evil. She has no idea that Cake and me are the same person. She probably doesn't remember my face and I've never told her the truth either. At first, it seemed harmless. But the more I got to know Kylie, the more I realized how much that memory meant to her. Prince Cake gave her hope during a dark time in her life. And now, as Robert Tens, I've become someone she looks up to and trusts. A mentor of sorts? I've also fallen in love with her. Kylie Moore's resilience, her kindness, and her passion have captured my heart. But I've kept my feelings hidden. How can I confess when I'm hiding such a big part of myself? How can I ask her to trust me when I can't reveal such a big secret to her? Plus, after I got to know her, it became clear that she has lost the ability to love herself and others. Her ex-best friend broke her heart after dragging her to Tokyo for his own selfish reasons, and her own mother, after abandoning her when she was a child. Not too long ago told on national TV that she doesn't have any children. So yes, that's a hard pill to swallow, and I realize that she still has to learn how to love herself first. It also still annoys me that she is obsessed with getting revenge on her former best friend for what he did to her. It's the whole reason she entered showbiz in the first place. I truly believe that the moment she forgets about this whole revenge thing, is the moment she can accept love back into her life. On the one hand, I believe that Kylie deserves the truth. But telling her would mean risking everything. If she knew I'd been lying about my identity, would she ever forgive me? Would she still see me as the mentor who's guided her career, or would she feel betrayed? At the same time, keeping this secret feels like a betrayal of its own. Kylie has been through so much in her life. She's been hurt by people she trusted, and the last thing I want is to add to that pain. But is it fair to let her continue believing in a lie? My biggest fear is that after I tell her, she might want nothing to do with me anymore. On the other hand, she might also understand why I couldn't reveal anything to her. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole for hiding my real identity? Should I come clean to Kylie, knowing it could change everything? Or is it better to keep the past buried and protect the life I've built as Robert Tens? Edit. I see a lot of you have been trying to guess who I am, but as I said in this post, my privacy is very sacred to me, and also, I do not want to make this into a spectacle. Please respect my privacy and do not inquire any further about my real identity. Relevant comments. Comment from Selfie Bastard 17. If you're a true man of this industry, you wouldn't hide behind fake names. I dislike fakes like you. Comment from Righteous Warrior 2364. As curious as I am about who you really are. You're not the first to use fake names on Reddit when they post, but to put that aside, I do believe that you should tell her. It will only get more awkward as time goes by. Plus, just think about how hurt she'll be if she figures it out on her own. Comment from Mastermind 37. Look dude, are you going to be Robert Tens forever, or will you at some point drop that persona and go back to being Ken Harrison full time? Anyway, although I can understand that you don't want to reveal this to the public, keeping this big of a secret from the people close to you will only bite you in the butt later on. It will hurt them that you don't trust them enough to keep it. Update. Hello Reddit, it's been a while. Because of my busy schedule, I actually completely forgot about this post. I only remember it when my manager was talking about a post he read on Reddit. I have to say that writing everything down really helped me get some perspective, and in the end I have decided to not reveal to Kylie Moore that I'm the fairy prince from her childhood just yet. To make matters a little more complicated, not too long ago we were all, the cast and crew of the movie I'm filming, staying at this resort, and to give myself some privacy for a couple of hours, I decided to dye my hair back to my natural color. I didn't think anything of it. It's just that I realized that I miss just being Ken Harrison, aka myself, and so I was taking a swim at a secluded part of the beach when suddenly Kylie was standing in front of me. She recognized me immediately as Prince Cake and then asked why I also looked a lot like Robert Tens. I could have told her the truth at that moment. But instead, I said that my glamour magic made me look like the man she was closest to. And to my surprise, she believed me. Now before you come after me and tell me that that was an a-hole move, you have to understand that Kylie is always very reserved and keeps me, when I'm Robert Tens, at arm's length. She never really shares her thoughts or talks freely with me. So I decided to step into the role of Prince Cake for her. To my surprise, the way she opened up to me was incredible. She spoke freely, laughed, and let down the wall she always keeps up around Robert Tens. I just fell more in love with her than I already was. We had so much fun, exploring the resort. I do feel bad that I had to pretend that I didn't know what money was and that she paid for our meals. Anyway, we both had a blast and in the end I even kissed her before saying goodbye, something I could never do as Robert Tens. Then, to sell the act, I jumped over the railing of the balcony we were standing on. It was a risky move, but her shocked expression made it worth it. I know some of you will think I'm the a-hole for continuing the lie. But seeing her happy, even for a little while, made me fall for her even more. For now, I'll keep the secret and cherish the moments we shared. One day I will tell her everything. When that day comes, I will not forget to update you guys. I promise. Veterans of the entertainment industry, what is your advice for making it into showbiz? Greetings, aspiring stars. It's Lory Takarada, president of LME, Lory's Majestic Entertainment. You might recognize me from my extravagant costumes, but beneath all the flair, I'm a man with decades of experience in guiding the brightest talents in this dazzling world called showbiz. The entertainment industry is a stage full of unexpected turns, and only those with the right mindset make it to the top. Over the years, I've seen many rise and fall, and I've come to realize there's one thing that sets true stars apart: love. Not just love for the craft, but love for the journey, the people, and even the challenges. Yes, love is the answer to everything in this world, including the road to success in the entertainment industry. So, for all you dreamers out there who want to shine, here's my advice on how to truly make it, with love as your guiding star. Number 1, know who you are and who you aren't. One of the first lessons I teach all my talents is the importance of knowing yourself. When you step onto the stage or in front of the camera, people don't just see a character, they see you. Your unique self, shining through everything you do. But how can you expect your audience to connect with you if you don't know who you are? This doesn't mean you have to be perfect from the start, but you do need to be honest with yourself. What are your strengths? Your weaknesses? Accept both with love and compassion. If you're constantly pretending to be someone else, the act will eventually fall apart. Authenticity, rooted in love for yourself, is the key to longevity in this industry. Take Kyoko Mogami, for example. When she first arrived at LME, she was driven by revenge, not love. But as she started to understand herself and discovered her passion for acting, she found a new path, one fueled by her love for the craft. She's still discovering who she is, but it's that journey of self-love that makes her so captivating. Number 2. Passion fuels everything, and passion comes from love. The entertainment industry can be brutal. Rejection, long hours, cutthroat competition, it can wear you down. But those who succeed are the ones driven by genuine passion. And passion? Passion is born from love. If you're here just to chase fame, you'll burn out quickly. The spotlight is fickle and fades faster than you think. But when you love what you do, whether it's acting, singing, or dancing, you'll find the strength to push through the toughest times. That love gives you resilience. It keeps you growing, even when the odds are against you. Ren Tsuruga is the perfect example of this. His incredible dedication to acting comes from his deep love for the art itself. He pours his heart into every role he takes, and that's what elevates him from a good actor to a great one. When love fuels your passion, the world will see it, and they'll fall in love with you too. Number 3. Be ready to adapt and evolve, with love for change. The entertainment world is always changing. What's popular today might be forgotten tomorrow. But those who last are the ones who embrace change with love and excitement. Rather than fearing shifts in trends or technology, greet them with open arms and a sense of adventure. I've seen countless talents get stuck in one role or image, afraid to try something new. But fear holds you back, while love for growth, love for challenges, moves you forward. Be versatile, and you'll always find new opportunities. Kyoko, for example, started in the Love Me section, willing to take on any role and learn from every experience, no matter how small. Her willingness to evolve comes from her love of learning and growing as an actress. It's that love for the craft that will one day make her a star. Number 4. Surround yourself with the right people. People who love you for who you are. No one makes it alone in this industry. You need a support system, a team of people who love you for who you are and believe in your potential. They'll be the ones to lift you up when things get tough and challenge you when you need to grow. But beware of those who are only around for the glitz and glamour. Their love is conditional, and they'll disappear the moment the spotlight dims. Find people who see the real you and push you to be your best. Look at Ren and Kyoko's relationship. Ren doesn't coddle her. He challenges her because he sees her potential and cares about her growth. That's the kind of love that helps you thrive, not just in the industry, but in life. Number 5. Don't be afraid to fail, because love will help you rise again. Failure is inevitable in this industry. You'll face rejection, projects will fall through, and things won't always go your way. But failure isn't the end. In fact, it's a valuable teacher, if you approach it with love and gratitude. Love for your journey will help you see failure not as a dead end, but as a stepping stone. Every setback teaches you something, and if you love what you do, you'll rise again, stronger than before. If you're afraid to fail, you'll never take the risks needed to truly shine. Kyoko, again, is a shining example. She faced rejection after rejection, but her love for acting kept her going. Instead of giving up, she saw each failure as a lesson, and now she's on her way to becoming a star. Love for the process is what keeps you going when others give up. Number 6. Never lose your humanity, or your love for others. In the chase for fame, it's easy to lose yourself. You might be tempted to compromise your values, step on others, or become someone you no longer recognize. But trust me, nothing is worth losing your humanity or your love for others. The people who truly shine are those who stay grounded, humble, and kind. Your humanity, your love for others, is what will connect you to your audience and make your success worthwhile. Fame is fleeting, but love is lasting. Ren Tsuruga, despite his success, remains humble and focused on his craft. He doesn't let fame change who he is. And Kyoko, even though she's finding her way, still cares deeply for the people around her. Love keeps them grounded, and that's what makes them stand out. Love is the key to it all. In the end, what will truly help you make it in the entertainment industry isn't just talent, passion, or even luck, it's love. Love for yourself, love for your craft, and love for the journey you're on. When you love what you do, the setbacks won't break you. When you love the people around you, you'll build meaningful relationships that last. And when you love yourself, you'll find the courage to take risks, embrace change, and keep going no matter what. Remember, love is the answer to everything. Fame may come and go, but the love you have for your craft, your journey, and the people you meet along the way, that's what will truly make your career and your life shine. So, go out there, love with all your heart, and show the world the star that you are. And don't forget, add a little flair wherever you go. With love and flair, from Lory Takarada, President of LME Talent Agency. Lover of drama and eternal believer in the power of love.
Thank you for watching. Up next, AITA stories from The Villainess Turns the Hourglass. So stay tuned. And if you're curious for more, click on the Revenge is a Dish Best Served Cold playlist.